Good afternoon and welcome to the Noble Systems webinar today on the top 10 ways for collections companies to improve promises to pay. We've got a really full session today with lots of people joining us, so thank you for joining and I hope you enjoy the webinar today. Just quickly go through some introductions before we start. So we've got myself, Rich Evans, Head of Business Development.
And I'm Jeff Donnelly, Head of Sales Engineering for Noble Systems in this region.
Okay, so we'll just run through a quick agenda and some housekeeping. So we will have questions throughout the webinar, so please do ask those. You should all have the ability to ask those through the toolbar for the webinar, so please send those through. We're really interested in finding out what your interests are and how we can help with these. We'll also have some polls throughout the webinar. We want the session to be as interactive as possible today, so please do answer these as they come up and we'll provide feedback during the webinar. So the agenda, a little bit about Noble Systems just to start. Then we'll get into the bulk of the presentation today, the top 10 ways to improve promises to pay. We'll then have a session to review quickly and then look at some Q&A from the session. So firstly then, Noble Systems, who are we? Noble Systems is a global leader in the customer communications industry, providing innovative solutions for unified communications, business process management and analytics. Noble offers a truly unified suite of multi-channel, inbound, outbound and blended contact processing, strategy planning and resource management tools for companies of all sizes. Our premise, cloud and highly innovative premise cloud hybrid platforms include ACD, predictive dialing, blended processing, recording and monitoring, IVR and messaging, interaction analytics and workforce management. We have tens of thousands of agents across over 4,000 sites globally using the Noble platform to manage millions of customer contacts every single day. Here in the UK, we have over 300 clients using the Noble systems, with debt collection being a major global market for Noble. With over 25 years experience in the contact center market, Noble truly are one of the most recognized contact center brands across the globe. So more importantly for today, Noble Systems and Collections. Noble has really grown from a simple telephony solution to become a powerful, best-in-class, multi-channel solution for the collections industry. Over 50% of Noble's global clients are using our solutions to manage collections activities. These range from debt collection agencies, and debt purchasers and lenders, through private healthcare providers, colleges and universities, and insurance providers. Noble Systems is the recognized leader in providing outbound dialing solutions driven by flexible deployment options with an exceptionally strong feature set and proven success of the top names in the industry. The history of Noble in collections? Well, the first Noble platform was actually developed for a collections environment to really increase RPCs, the right party contacts, and minimize the collector downtime. Things like time manually keying numbers, waiting on debtor pickups, and hitting answer machines. Since then, Noble has truly become the most respected technology provider in the collections industry, and here in the UK this was demonstrated by the award of Best Use of Technology Vendor at the recent Debt Collection Awards in 2013. So into the top 10 ways to improve P2Ps. So data quality and segmentation. Before data is available to call, it's really useful to be able to understand exactly what the data is, what it looks like and what state it's in. Segmenting and analyzing the data before loading into dialers and dialing campaigns will really enable every account to be maximized and the highest revenues to be collected on each account. We can look at things like the can't pay, won't pay, will pay scenario, the typical debt collection strategy. We can also look at things like demographic data to understand the whole portfolio and understand who it is that we might be talking to. This allows us collections agencies to really assign the correct resources to each collections campaign to maximize results. We can also look at things like propensity to pay and propensity to default, or trace and collect. So this really helps us to put these debtors into the right pots within the business to make sure that the right debtors are contacted by the right resources by your business. With trace and collect, we can also decide to send information out to third-party providers such as GB Group, TraceSmart, and credit reference agencies such as Experian, Equifax, and Call Credit. And what they can do, they can cleanse and append information to our data. So they can add new phone numbers or even email addresses today to enable us to contact the data through multi-channel approach. They can also help with the quality of the data, filling in the blanks, such as new address details and potential partners that people are living with. We also look at the debt value. This is typically a way to segment the data, again, into different teams within the organization, but also we look at the primary, secondary, tertiary debts. All debt collection agencies out there will have a speciality, and we can really use the debt value and the primary, secondary, and tertiary assignments to make sure that we're using this to the fullest of our ability.
Before we move on to the next phase of the webinar, we'd like to get an understanding of what your business currently does to stimulate inbound traffic. As you know, there's a multitude of ways in which organisations can do this. Traditionally, it was always done by letter drops, but nowadays companies are using various methods such as email, SMS, or even agentless campaigns to drive their inbound calls. So if you'd like now just to take a quick poll to give us an understanding of how you're doing this today. We've got various options. You can choose SMS, emails, letter drops, agentless campaigns, or you may be another method that you're using. We'll just wait for them results. Excellent. So we can see there's a good spread across most of the options, with the highest percentage still being on letters, which we would expect to see. Interesting enough, we can see that both SMS and IVR messaging are commonly used by a lot of you attending this webinar.
Okay, great. Thanks everybody for contributing to that poll. So that leads us nicely into the different methods we can use to really stimulate the inbound traffic. So before collectors even make a call, wouldn't it be fantastic if you as a business could stimulate inbound traffic? Through SMS and email blasts, you can drive up that inbound traffic. And as you know, I'm sure the cost of sending an email, an SMS, or an automated voice message is typically far lower than the cost of an agent minute on the phone. As we can see from the statistics on the screen from Ofcom, about 94% of adults currently have a mobile phone, compared to only 85% who have a landline. If we add this to the Mobile Marketing Magazine research that suggests that only 7 out of 10 adults who own a mobile phone actually own a smartphone. But this does mean that about 2/3 of adults in the UK can receive messages through email, text and voice on one device. Being able to effectively stimulate debtors through their mobile phones is therefore absolutely key to the success of a debt collection operation today. Using both email and SMS blasts to stimulate that inbound traffic will reach about 2/3 of debtors on their smartphones. The important thing here, though, is that once we've stimulated the inbound call, that we can actually deal with that traffic. Once we've got the debtor's attention, we don't want to lose it.
Thanks, Richard. So how do we make the most out of our SMS, email and automated messaging? We actually need to consider personalising each interaction with the debtors. The Noble solution can be integrated with your existing collection software to provide account information and payment options and record contact results automatically without engaging a collector. This increases the likelihood that a debtor will take notice of the message and will be tempted to respond. This also improves the image of the collections agency and builds trust with the debtor. Everyone likes to be referred to by name. It makes sense that people feel that the company they're dealing with really cares. We've got a few Noble customers today that are using such services to increase the likelihood of making contact with their clients. Utilising the Noble SMS feature allows you to create outbound SMS campaigns with each message personalised using information that is held in the Noble database. For example, this could be an SMS message sent as a reminder that a client has promised to pay on a particular date. Alternatively, it may be the case that you want to provide a reminder to your client at the end of a call. The Noble Composer application allows you to associate multiple actions with a single click of a button. This may be a reminder SMS that is personalised with the information that you've agreed on the call, and then apply a record status before terminating the call. The same could be done with email also. Another option is using automated agentless outbound campaigns. They're used by a great deal of the Noble customer base. These can be campaigns that not only leave a personalised message to the client, but have the added benefit of the ability to use the Noble IVR to route clients back into agents by simply pressing 1 or whatever option you use in the IVR. The key to utilising all these technologies is the ability to personalise your SMS, email and messaging campaigns. This creates a more personal touch to the way you're contacting your clients, and results have shown a much better contact rate than just sending out static messaging. Okay, let's move on to our second poll. So once we've stimulated your inbound traffic, we need to look at the methods you're using here to do this. So there's various ways that you can answer calls within your contact centre, but more importantly, you need to get the correct calls to the correct skilled agents to deal with the calls. So let's just take this quick poll to see how you're currently managing your inbound traffic. So we've got a few options: self-service IVR, skills-based routing, whether you route calls to specific agents that own accounts, or whether you don't have anything in place at present. Right, let's take a look at them results. So interesting enough, a lot of you are using self-service IVR today to give the options to your clients to make payments without interacting with agents. There's a lot of skills-based routing being used. Again, getting the right call to the right agent, that's key. But interesting enough, 17% of you don't have an automated at present. So there's a lot of improvements that can be made there. So hopefully by a lot of the features we teach you in this webinar, it will enable you to move forward with managing your inbound traffic.
Okay, thanks Jeff, and thanks everyone again for taking part in that poll. So what we're going to go on to now is looking at the effective contact routing through self-service IVRs, skills-based routing and account ownership. So self-service IVR menus allow the debtors to respond immediately after receiving the personalised message that we've sent, whether that be an email, an SMS or a voicemail. Taking this one step further, payment IVRs allow the debtor to make a payment by simply entering payment details without the need for collector involvement. Alternatively, if the debtor has a query, they can get through to an agent and negotiate a settlement or a payment plan or get an answer to their question. Skills-based routing can increase promises to pay and ensures that your best collectors are utilised on the most appropriate calls. Top closers are utilised wherever they're available over other collectors to really maximise revenues and promises to pay for the business. Also, high value or known difficult accounts can be routed through to those more experienced agents who have a better close rate and more experience of dealing with difficult customers. Account ownership, this is both inbound and outbound. So on the inbound side, account ownership is all about driving performance through collector accountability, whilst building relationships with the debtor. This is a system that has been successfully implemented at one of our clients, Vanquis Bank, who currently manage all of their accounts through dedicated collectors. The way they do this is that they route regular payers through to account managers who over time have built up a relationship with the debtor. This helps to tie in with the personalisation of the message originally sent through email, voice or text to that debtor, and really gives them a degree of comfort in dealing with the same person each time they call, and with your business. On the outbound side, the Noble Debtor Contact Management Grid really helps to improve collector productivity, again through account ownership. The collectors are all able to review their own work list and then select the record to view the debtor information and account history before they actually launch a call to a debtor. Again, this really drives collector performance through accountability for debtor accounts and really builds trust in the brand. Jeff, do you have any more examples of that?
Yeah, we have several customers using effective contact routing methods. Particular one of interest, Dryden Fairfax. They've recently implemented a self-service IVR a full end-to-end payment system for their clients. This utilises the ability for them to opt in to speak to an agent or totally bypass agents and go straight to the payment without having to interact with that agent. Most of our clients as well use skills-based routing. As you've said on multiple occasions, it's very important to get the right call to the right agent at the right time. This is a standard feature within the Noble system, so it's commonly used by most of our clients. From an account ownership point of view, we have a lot of teams within organisations that are utilising this feature, and this may be for high-value debt, where typically the collectors are not on a dialer system, but using the Noble Contact Management Grid, it enables these collectors to be part of the entire contact centre and reported on in the same way. They can still have their own individual work lists. They can work through the accounts at their own rate. They can skip trace through accounts as well. So there's multiple ways in which the account ownership and the Noble Contact Management Grid is being used by our clients. Okay, let's move on to the next phase, which is the unified collector environment. So it's typically very difficult for people to manage multiple channels. So collections centres need to put in place solutions to help collectors manage these. Collection centres have traditionally focused on the best use of their resources and making the most out of every right party contact. This hasn't changed. What has changed is the way in which debtors communicate. People no longer rely on just their phones to make contact. Dependent on the current business setup, collection centres can be configured to have separate inbound and outbound teams or to operate in a fully blended environment. In a blended environment, collectors can be assigned to handle both outbound and inbound calls and other media types such as email and SMS at the same time, promoting increased efficiency from your agents. When calls are routed to collectors, CTI screen pops will automatically identify the media type and can bring up the debtor's account, enabling the collectors to personalise the greeting to the debtor and minimise wasted time searching for debtor records. The unified desktop can also be used as a complete workflow application that can guide your collectors through the correct process within a call. For example, ensuring your agents perform the correct identification and verification checks before moving to the next phase of the call. All this information will be recorded in the contact centre database so you can ensure compliance is adhered to too. Using a workflow application, the collector can be guided through the call, ensuring understanding by the debtor and compliance by the collector. Script changes dynamically depending on the data captured by the collector on the call, assisting the collector in ensuring the optimum resolution is reached on every call. A great example of the use of a workflow application is Noble's customer Permanent TSB in Ireland. When we first put the Noble solution in place, we quickly identified that in order to streamline the current agent process, which involved the agents having to access multiple banking systems to complete a call, we could simply roll out the Noble Composer application to front-end all of these banking systems. We did this using various integration techniques such as web services, customized URLs, and keystroke emulation. We were able to achieve this, and now PTSB have a single unified agent desktop that guides agents efficiently through each call, saving collector time and ensuring compliance.
Okay, great, thanks Jeff. So a lot of information there, but what this is all about really is doing more with less and really maximising the collector productivity. So the unified collector environment is all about taking that multi-channel approach and being able to present it to your collectors in a way that they can easily and efficiently manage. Okay, so this leads us quite nicely into our next poll. So this is helping us to understand what your outbound environment looks like at present. So I'm sure there's some people still manually dialing, or we may have people on a premise-based, fully automated solution. So this would be where there is hardware installed at your own site. Or we also have a cloud-based automated solution. So this would be a hosted environment, perhaps on your site or even in your provider's site. Or maybe you're doing something else at the moment. Okay, great. So looking at the results then, we can see that the majority of people, almost 2/3 actually, are still using premise-based automated solutions. About a third are still manually dialing, and some are using a cloud-based solution. There's nobody using anything else, which is great to see. Okay, so that leads us again nicely on to the automated outbound dialing solutions. So there's a number of ways that outbound dialers can be used, in predictive, preview, and progressive dialing modes just being some. I suppose the key here really is that it's irrelevant of the mode that we actually use to manage the dialer. It's more about enhancing the productivity by using an automated solution. So automating your outbound dialing really helps you to organize and manage your outbound dialing campaigns and resources, allowing you to build productivity, improve efficiency, and increase call volumes. Automation of this process can also really help to eliminate any manual keying errors whilst driving increased call volumes and therefore list penetration as well. Any enterprise level solution will typically allow you to store multiple contact numbers in each data record and manage your calling of these at different times of the day, enabling multiple contact routes to the same data. So a good example of this would be where you know that somebody's out at work between 9 and 6 o'clock in the day, so you always want to contact them on their mobile during those times. However, before and after that work time hours, they're going to be available both on a mobile and a landline at home. So it just allows you to really automate that process of planning on which number to call. Using an automated outbound solution will also allow your collectors to set callbacks at specific times with on-screen calendars. And this relates back to some of the account ownership or even just when we don't use that. These can be allocated to specific agents for account ownership or to groups where we're not using an account ownership approach. The Noble outbound calling system can be fully integrated with automated messaging, IVR, skills-based routing, and other features to provide even greater functionality for your call center, as Jeff has already explained a bit earlier. So this is all about helping you to do, again, as much as possible with a minimal amount of collector resource. The key thing here is that Noble's outbound dialing solutions will help you to improve the productivity and efficiency of your outbound contacts.
Thanks, Richard. So now if we look at how we can start improving the way you use your outbound or automated dialing systems, we can start looking at your best time and propensity to pay models. Because in today's environment, it's more challenging than ever to contact customers. Automated dialers are an integral part of most outbound collection strategies. However, these devices working alone cannot determine the right time to call the right customer on the right number and get the right results. We need to be able to optimize the dialer and agent productivity to balance available collector resources with the probability of customer contact and customer importance, such as high balance or risk. With solutions that look at the best time and propensity to pay, organizations can easily determine the probability of getting the right party contact and the probability of a positive response for each call. If we look at how this is done, it's done by applying predictive models to help organizations schedule the best calls for each hour of the day. Each day, it should typically automatically process a copy of the day's call list, segment this according to predetermined rules, calculate the contact probability for each account, and determine the best number to call on, and matches this to the available resources throughout the day. If we take a step back and look at how you currently sort your campaigns today, it's typically done by possibly looking at the total amount due. So if you look in a typical dialer campaign, usually sort that on one of two variables, maybe that's potential revenue or product, but the probability of reaching the right party contact and the response are not available for use in this scheduling. You can get smarter by looking at the value of each call in a current hour. This would require you resort the list each hour and begin calling the available records with the highest value. So that's typically based on contact probability and business objectives. But this is more productive than traditional sorting, but fails, however, to optimize the entire dialing day. Using applications such as the Noble Call Tech application, you'll be able to schedule calls to maximize value for the available resources. You'll be able to consider all records and all hours simultaneously to create a schedule for the entire day. that will maximise the value of each campaign. As the charts on the screen show, this combination of outbound agent schedules with the value of each potential call produce the optimal calling schedule for each part of the portfolio. The application should also dynamically learn over time and provide increasing levels of accuracy based on the data. Each month this data should be automatically refreshed using at least 60 days of the organisation's call history with no intervention required for this refresh process. This means that as you continue to utilise the system, your right party contacts and your promise to pays will improve over time. Deploying such applications, you can see instant results simply by calling the right people at the most likely time to produce a positive result.
That's a great overview, Jeff, of how the system works and how it will be implemented into a contact centre solution. But I suppose for everybody on the webinar today, it's the real benefits that we want to look at. So the use of the historical data, we can not only look at the best time to call, but also the best method of contact and the propensity of the debtor to pay. This means that we only need about 2 or 3 months of data to get a real quality picture of the debtor to absolutely maximise the collector performance. It also allows us to easily deploy time-based calling campaigns and should reduce the roll rates and charge-offs. It should significantly increase right party contacts and promises to pay, therefore increasing the pounds collected within budgetary, compliance and resource constraints. But again, the key thing here really is enhancing that agent productivity and satisfaction, because the agents are getting more right party contacts and ultimately more promises to pay and more collections. And this leads quite nicely in to our interaction analytics. So interaction analytics is the contact center industry's fastest growing interest at the moment, with speech analytics being the core focus for collections organizations. Interaction analytics uses automated methods to analyze every contact to gain intelligence that will allow you to improve future contact with each individual debtor, and uses predictive analytics auditing past performance to determine the probability of a future result. This gives you the ability to understand when and how to contact debtors to get the most productive results. The result of this is a substantial rise in agent productivity through increases in connect time, decreases in wait times, and contact with debtors at the most appropriate time, not only for your business, but for the debtor as well. So, speech analytics then. What does this do? This really enables you to search and analyze 100% of your calls simply and quickly to enable measurement of performance and results. Noble's speech analytics solutions use phoneme pattern matching to enable searching on words or phrases including names, slang and non-standard grammar. Alongside this, we can use Noble's performance evaluation toolkit, which will empower you, your team leaders and your managers to evaluate individual collector performance, helping your team leaders and managers to understand if collectors are providing the expected level of service to the debtor, if they are giving the correct impression of your organisation, and who is really excelling and should be utilised as a role model within the collections team, and conversely, who needs additional training. As 100% of the calls can be analysed at the same time, this also truly allows you to rapidly spot trends, whether they be good or bad, across the collections floor, allowing you to very quickly address the bad ones and stop them, and celebrate the good ones and share them. Many collections organisations are also using speech analytics solutions to audit agent compliance to data protection throughout the call, ensuring that the correct DP questions are asked at the correct points during the call. The main reason for collections organisations to use speech analytics, though, is to really increase the performance of every agent through skill sharing and training, enabling collectors to build trust with the debtor from the first moment with the right qualifying questions and quality introductions, and ultimately generating more collections, providing both the business and the collector with more pounds in their pocket. Jeff, have we got any examples of where this has been implemented successfully?
We have indeed. One of our Noble's clients, Cabot Financial, which was previously Apex Credit Management in Stratford, we deployed one element of the interaction analytics tool, which was speech analytics. The first notable impact was the ability for them to analyse 100% of their calls. as opposed to the 1% that we were doing beforehand. This in itself gave a couple of benefits. It freed up the managers and supervisors' time to concentrate on mentoring the staff. More importantly, it identified that out of the best performing collectors, about 40% were not even asking for payment in full. So addressing this through training allowed the cash collected per agent hour to improve by 30% over the first 6-month period.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeff. That nicely leads us into the agent management, actually. So dynamic agent management is all about managing your collections activities with a comprehensive management suite, allowing users to build scripts, control center resources, monitor real-time performance, and create custom reports without any real IT input. Today's collection center management solutions should allow you to access real-time activity views, online statistics with drill-down capability, charts and graphs to understand performance to your own specified metrics. Using Noble solutions, managers are able to import and export data, set up and manage campaigns, assign skills for inbound call routing, and manage IVR workflows, ensuring a smooth flow and transition for both inbound and outbound calls. All of this information should be up to the second accurate and will be accessible over multiple devices such as PCs, tablets, and today even mobile phones. This ultimately enables those managers to have the freedom to get back to the collections floor, to get a better understanding of what is going on at the core face of your organization. Typically also, managers and team leaders will be required to attend meetings and may have to spend a good proportion of their day away from their teams. With custom alerting solutions, our customers are able to manage and monitor the collections team no matter where they are in the world. This can be things like visual notifications, so that managers and team leaders don't need to be looking at their phones all the time or tablets all the time in a meeting, but will simply get a flashing alert perhaps so that they know that an agent is out of compliance, perhaps with too much time being spent in pause time or after call work. And this really allows those managers to address these issues immediately without having to wait for an end of day report. Managers are also able to listen to and coach their collectors, and if required even barge into a call that is not being handled well by a collector. So this again leads quite nicely into how do we actually manage staffing in our contact centers or collection centers. So what we're looking at here is how people are managing those agents or collectors throughout the day and how they're managing things like holidays and scheduling the calls and the agents that we need to answer them. So are people using standardized shift patterns, Excel sheets and dedicated workforce planners within their organizations? Or are any of you using a workforce management or optimization tool? Okay, so as we can see then, we've got 45% of people using standardized shift patterns and 45% of people using Excel sheets and dedicated workforce planners within your organizations. This is typically what we expect to see within collections organizations, with workforce management typically being seen as an inbound solution and collections organizations typically viewed as outbound organizations. So we'll just talk a little bit about that now. So workforce management then. This is all about right-sizing the operation by having the correct number of collectors available to manage all call traffic, both inbound and outbound. Workforce management is the true art of having the right number of skilled people and supporting resources in the right place at the right time to meet the desired service levels for an accurately forecasted workload. Noble's workforce management tools really remove the guesswork from your collection center planning by carefully balancing the demands of planned business activities such as outbound calling with the debtor's service level expectations when making inbound calls to the organization. When calling into your collections agency, debtors have a limited initial engagement time within which you must ensure that their call is handled effectively to meet that expectation. This can really set the tone for the remainder of the call, so it is absolutely key that this expectation is met as quickly as possible and that agents are available to handle these calls to result in a promise to pay or a collection. Workforce management tools also enable your management teams to understand and appropriately manage those what-if scenarios within your organization, such as a sudden influx of calls or an unexpected large absence in the team. And also to ensure that your collections team as a whole is performing well and to their real best, it's hugely important to manage the employees' requirements and expectations. So our workforce management solutions really allow the employees and managers to manage requests for holiday allowance and booking procedures, while also ensuring daily compliance and adherence to scheduled break times throughout the working day. So that's our top 10 ways to increase promise to pays within a collections organization. So as a quick review, we've looked at how collections organizations can increase their ability to generate promise to pays in those collection centers. The key areas we've looked at today are how we can stimulate inbound contacts and grab the attention of the recipient of an email, text or SMS message that is completely personalized to that letter, with a view to gaining their interest in the first place and then stimulating a call inbound to your organization. Once we have an inbound call coming into our collection center, we really need to be able to react quickly to this, as the debtor calling in only has a limited attention span. We've explored how these inbound calls can be routed most effectively, including the self-service IVR, to enable debtors to make payments without speaking to a collector, find out information such as an address to send a payment to perhaps, or even adjust your opening hours. There's also the option there to route through to a live agent to discuss payment plans or settlements. We then looked at how we can blend these inbound calls into the operation as a whole, which was the unified collector environment that Jeff spoke about earlier. We then looked at outbound dialing to really maximize calls, therefore increasing those right party contacts, the promise to pays, and hopefully collections in pound notes. Following on from this, we looked at some different solutions on how we can really maximize the outbound dialing. So a best time to call or a propensity to pay model. So this is not just throwing those lists of numbers at those collectors, but really using the data we have to work out the most appropriate time to call a debtor, to not only make contact with them, but also to gain a payment or a promise to pay. We've looked at speech analytics. So this is really understanding what is happening on the collections floor and ensuring compliance at the same time. This is allowing you to spot good trends across the business and share these quickly, and also pick up the bad trends and put a stop to them as quickly as possible. And finally, we've looked at workforce management, the effective management of your workforce to meet the requirements of not only the business, but also your employees and the debtors, all managed through a single solution. Okay, so we've had some questions come in today while we've been going through the webinar. Jeff, what's the first question we've got there?
I've got one here. What are the legal requirements when sending interactive voice messaging? And I'll actually take that one for you, Richard. With this being an outbound call, the same principles apply to any outbound calls. Things such as you must leave a telephone number identifying who you are. And so that caller, if they ring that number back, you should have that answered as well. So it can't be a number that doesn't go to anywhere. What I would say with any automated agentless campaigns is that you should always have your legal team check out whether it's, right for you to actually place the calls to them clients.
Okay, so another question that we've had in are, what specific examples of companies have you come across that have implemented self-service particularly well? Jeff, I'm sure you've got a good example of this.
Well, we did talk about one during the webinar, and that was Dryden's Fairfax. They had various processes in place before they implemented the Noble system, but they didn't have a self-service option for their clients. After they implemented the Noble system, they quickly found it was very easy to manipulate the IVR manager within the Noble system and really create a full end-to-end self-service package for the clients. So what they actually do is they bring a call in from a client, they give the client the option to opt in to talk to an agent or the option to go and make a direct payment and it's a full end-to-end process.
Okay, great. So we have had a large amount of other questions come in, but we are running quite short of time today. So what we'll do with those is we'll actually get back to people on an individual basis. The webinar will also be available on our website probably at the beginning of next week to download if you would like to do that. As you can see on the screen here now, you've got both my contact details and Jeff's if you'd like to ask us any questions directly. Thank you everybody for joining us on the webinar today, and I hope you found it interesting.
Thank you.